Great. So let's start. So we are here with Rohin. Can you start your video, Rohin? Great.
Yes.
So we have Rohin from AdYogi, who is a co-founder of AdYogi. We have Umair Mohammed, founder and CEO of Wixo, and then Amin Gadiali, director strategy for Gozu.
Hello,
Today we
everyone.
are going to have a very interesting session where all of you are interested to ensure that whatever you are doing in the marketing, how it is going to give you returns today as well as in the future times. So let's start with first to understand. Let's have a round of introduction, starting with Rohin, then Umair and Amin can start. So Rohin, just give us the background about AdYogi, where you started, when you started.
Sure. Thank you for having me as a part of the panel. And I hope everyone's safe and sound at their homes, safely logged, and businesses are back on track. So thank you guys. I'm Rohin. I'm one of the co-founders of a marketing automation platform called AdYogi. It's a 5-year-old company. We cater to performance marketing. And when I say performance marketing, it's purely managing spends to get more revenue on the website. So every single rupee is kind of being utilized to drive higher revenues on your website. We work with primarily with e-commerce brands, and that has been largely the focus and will continue to be the major focus for next few years. And we are working with close to 120 brands now, pure online and both online plus offline retail brands. Some of the major names are like in online space, we have Bunai, Suta, Malmal. And if you talk about retail brands, we work with W for Women, Clarks, Metro Mochi, and few others. We are based out of Gurgaon. We serve clients all across the globe and close to 40-member team now. Top partners with Facebook and Google in India. And that has been the journey so far. And looking forward to getting some insights from the peers and sharing our experience so far. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rohin. Great to know about AdYogi. Umair, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks, Jitendra. And thanks, Rohin, for that intro. I really appreciate everyone coming over today. We almost have like 70 people listening into this webinar. So yeah, I think I run a company called Wixo Technologies, and it's been for past 5 years. Started this with only one aim, was to help merchants get more sales. It's a marketing automation platform, but unlike AdYogi, which focuses on acquisition and Facebook and Google Ads and optimization of your ad spends and acquisition, Wixo platform is focuses on your retention marketing and your CRM. So tracking your customers, their products, their sales, and all the channels are integrated in the platform, and there is a conversations piece. So everything can be managed under a single umbrella. It's been fantastic journey for past 5 years, from struggling to get a single client in 2015 to about 300 plus e-commerce companies in 2020. And meanwhile, also managing to raise funds from some of the marquee investors in the in the ecosystem, and working with the 100 plus brands in US alone. So that has been the journey, and we want to continue on this. So we want to hear from everyone as much as we like to speak, because everything that we have done is based on feedback from customers, their requirement and their needs. And that's the journey we want to continue on. And thanks for having me here, Jitendra. Really appreciate it. A lovely panel of people joining in from home, not showered in 3 days. So looking forward to interacting with everyone.
Thank you, Umair. Thanks a lot for the introduction. Amin, you want to start?
First of all, Umair, I just showered for this session. The thing is, yeah, so I represent the company named Gozu. Gozu at this point in time is one of India's largest independent creative first company. We started off our journey being a digital company in 2010. It has been 10 years that we have been in existence. From a digital company, we became a digital first integrated company over the years, where most of our ideas and most of our thought processes are understanding behaviors on digital. And from those behaviors, we cull insights, and those insights turn into campaigns and ideas for which we help our brands scale up on digital. And in that process, what happens is like acquisition, retention, also the communication becomes a very important aspect of that customer journey. And that is something that we take care of end to end. Some of the partners that we work with are includes like the likes of Taj Group of Hotel, Club Mahindra, Dell India, Olympic Council of Asia, which is an Asian corporate council that exists where all the Asian Games and all of those is a part of it. Kolkata Knight Riders and many more that are there. Beyond that, personally, I have been in the stream for the past 10 years, and this is my 11th year. And working with a lot of startups has given me a lot of joy right from the early days of my career. So whether it has been Mad Over Donuts, which started the journey in 2012, which was a very small company back then, to today working with a brand named Ace Blend, which is a startup that we are working with and we are helping it scale up. Now, obviously, working with established brands, you take the best of learning from what happens with the established brands. Working with startups, it's a very different environment, specifically with D2C brands. And that is something that I really, really personally enjoy as well. So that's a bit about the company and my journey. And I head the entire strategy division. So I'm the director of strategy at Gozo. And yeah, so that's a bit. And I really hope that at the end of this, so many people that have joined us actually find the answers that they're looking for which I think they have joined, because nowadays webinars have exploded post-COVID. So I just hope that, whatever it is that you're looking for, we are able to answer it as a panel that is there, because there is a great mix of someone like me who kind of strategizes and creates the entire funnel, but there is someone who actually acquires and there's someone who retains it. So that's the end-to-end ecosystem that we are talking about in that aspect. So Jitendra, over to you.
Thanks, Amin. So lovely people, very, very knowledgeable people. So we try to pick their brain and try to get answers for all our questions, which will help us in making all the brands very successful. So I want to start with actually, we have entered in last like 90 days in a new normal, what everybody is calling is the buzzword today. So it was a pre-COVID era and then is a post-COVID era or a lockdown era. So have you seen any significant behavioral change from two aspects? One is from the companies who are marketing or who are using communication, digital communication to acquire, retain customers, and as well as from the customers who are using now, I think using more of a digital media for consuming content or ordering e-commerce or anything. So I think the usage have increased significantly. So have you seen any kind of a change where you want to share that with our guests? Umair, you want to start with?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I think these, and I shouldn't say this, but and because this has been such a difficult time for everyone, but one of the industries that actually benefited from COVID, and I shouldn't say benefited from COVID, it just feels wrong to say someone getting benefited from a pandemic. But at the end of the day, one of the industries that has seen unprecedented growth has been e-commerce, primarily because it was driven by need initially, because while retail is closed, people are still staying away. While, in Delhi, for example, we have seen malls opening, but everyone is staying away from malls because, the number of cases. And I do believe that people have adopted to newer technologies, and while there was this graph that we were looking at from Bank of America, which was very interesting, that it took e-commerce about a decade to go from 0 to 16% penetration into retail sales, and it took it 8 weeks to go from 16 to 27%.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, that for us, the new normal has been people have been adopted. We have seen some of the brands that we are working with, both internationally and Indian, have seen a massive growth in their e-commerce sales. People are more
people are okay to buy online now. And and I think that has been our key takeaway has been that this is why this is a new normal that people have accepted. So while it was a need, but the convenience factor, when it kicks in, people are going to continue to buy online. So we will see some of these numbers continue even in the post-COVID era. And that is our belief, that once someone gets that convenience, I remember a time when we used to keep change in our pockets, right? That 2 rupee, 3 rupee, rickshaw wale se liya, wo kiya. And that time has completely gone. I never keep change because I know agar kuch 5-7 rupees ka hoga ya 15 rupees ki cheez hogi, main Paytm kar dunga, right? So we have gone from that time to this time today that we are. और अगर मैं उससे भी पहले ले रहा हूँ कि जब when I was in school किसी के पास 3310 वो 3310 मोबाइल नोकिया का होना भी बहुत बड़ी बात थी. वो सब आपस में हम लोग 11th स्टैंडर्ड में वो फोन चुपके से बांट के स्नेक खेला करते थे. And today, we can't even think of our life without our smartphones, right? So we are entering a phase where people are already accustomed to that convenience which has been provided to them, and that this growth will continue in future, right? And this is my 2 cents. But I would leave to Rohan, to explain what he's seen in terms of brands advertising. But yeah, Rohan.
Okay, thank you, Umair. So I think I'll give you a couple of trends, Jitendra, pre-COVID and let's say where we are now. During those 90 days, what we have seen is, as far as brands are concerned, brands had 2 major reactions. One was to absolutely stop marketing, go into a shell, and then rework the strategies. That may be due to that the warehouses were in a red zone or a containment zone, or probably because they were overly concerned about that. Let's not start operations. Let's take a hit for 3 months. But there were certain brands who were actually taking benefit of the entire last 90-day period. Because if you look closely at Facebook, it typically works on a demand and supply algorithm. So the moment half of your advertisers are not spending any money on the platform, your advertising cost goes very low. And this becomes actually a very good opportunity to create your funnel. And if you could measure the trends, what we did on the CPM level, CPM during COVID was as low as a discount of 70%. So pre-COVID, what you were doing in a 1 lakh rupee of a budget, during last 90 days, you could actually get the same traffic, get the same number of clicks in a 30,000 rupee on Facebook, let's say. So a lot of brands tried scaling that up because efficiency improved. They were getting a little more bang for their buck. And they started scaling up very well, and now they're capitalizing on it. That effect has been reduced. We are looking back to pre-COVID CPMs now. The spends are rising, the brands are getting up. As far as consumers or customers are concerned, very clearly a large set of consumers came onto the bandwagon. Earlier, let's say people who were not spending time on Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn, more people started spending time, which means higher inventory for brands to reach out. And as per a survey by Facebook, 40% of daily time increased on an average during the COVID times. So if I'm spending 1 hour, now I'm spending 1 hour, 40 minutes on Facebook on a daily basis. So which means I can consume, let's say, more content, more ads, tendency or overall clicks that I do on my Facebook wall have also increased. So,
Rohan, sorry to interrupt, but all these data is India specific, right?
Yes, this is India specific. Yes. Okay. So this trend kind of the brands who were actually able to capitalize on this, they actually did very well during COVID as well. And now the new norm is that you have a higher acquisition funnel. So you have more people who have engaged with your brand over last 3 months, and it's a good time to monetize now. And we've all seen how, let's say, Myntra end of season sale has done. They've actually broken on all their past records of single day sales that has happened. So clearly a trend that more people are now open to shopping online. Over to you.
So, I mean, I wanted to understand. So, in this particular time, both of them are saying that few brands have actually invested more in terms of acquisition, in terms of engagement, retention. So, do you see any specific strategy where the people from particular categories were spending more on marketing, acquiring new customers, and people from the established categories or the categories like a jewelry or a fashion who were hit very hard, were doing a different kind of a communication with their existing customers?
Sure. So I think that first it's very important to take a step back and understand the consumer psyche. Like, how did that shift? Because we have been actually doing a lot of research in that zone, and because we have a presence in India and Middle East, so we
Mhm.
understand the two markets on how it is sort of being dynamic. And we are launching few of the brands in the States and all of those. So it has been a very, for the first time in the history, it has been a very symbiotic relationship as well as growth to begin with. Now, saying that, what has happened is that the consumer before, pre-COVID and post-COVID, now the consumer is a lot more scared. The what we call as new normal, for us, the new normal to set in. The reason being because there was so much fear that was created around the virus, and essentials became such a used term that people started focusing so much on essentials and focusing on so much of safety and hygiene that other sectors did take a hit directly and indirectly in different ways. At the same time, what happens was brands also tried to pivot. The reason being because some of you must have seen some of the e-commerces went into delivery, like food delivering app went into grocery delivery. Now Amazon is going to deliver alcohol. Like all these business model shifts happened within weeks. So there was a lot of changes and dynamism that was there during the COVID phase, and we are still in it. And there's a long time before we get out of it. But in that 3 months, the past 3 months has been very, very dynamic. In that, the consumer was really, really, in a way, confused as to how to go about the normal life. And with that, what happened, a lot of new fears started stemming up, and which is what a lot of researchers have been sharing. Whether what we are calling as new normal, the new normal is basically we have to make peace with the virus and start living with it.
Mhm.
So with this, now what happens is when the market opens up, now where a lot of Myntra is, the reason that it is, clocking in so much of sales, there's a phenomenon called revenge shopping. Is the
Right.
fact that because there has been this situation created so much of pent up demand that it is going to open up at once, and then things are going to normalize. So we're going to see these changes. But for our brands, specifically the ones that we are working with, whether it's Taj or Club Mahindra or Intermiles for that matter of fact, we took a very bespoke approach in terms of what the brand should communicate and can communicate to the audiences. Example I'll give you is Club Mahindra, from because we take care of their CRM and customer response management, is the fact that they changed some of their properties into centers where actually COVID patients were being admitted. So that conversation became extremely important. Intermiles, for that matter of fact, which was previously as jet privilege, started focusing a lot on other services which it always had beyond just flying and miles. So the conversations kind of pivoted, which kind really helped. We recently did a campaign for GNC India, Guardian India and GNC. It's called I Am Positive with John Abraham. Now that campaign, the reason that it has seen such a big success in the past 3 days is purely because we understand the consumer sentiment, and that consumer sentiment at this point in time is looking for positivity and things to be normal. And the brands will play a very crucial role in facilitating that journey, according to me, and in their own ways. Like today hotels will open up. What are you doing within it to ensure that the safety of the customer is there? Similarly, Uber did an entire campaign and Ola did an entire campaign on how they are fumigating their vehicles time and again to make sure that the customer is safe. I think those communication touch points are going to become more and more prevalent in our advertising. Even Gillette recently, yesterday, did a campaign where they're supporting barbers to help them re-establish themselves, and open their shops because they were really affected. And Gillette, in a way, their market is dependent on barbers. So they grow, Gillette grows. It's a very symbiotic relationship. But now businesses can't just think about themselves. And that is all the studies are also showing, that even consumers are looking at the fact that how brands are interacting. And one of the classic case studies that happened recently, and obviously I believe that the team on the other end will always have a different story, but I'm talking it purely from an external perspective, was Kent's ad which came out, which created a lot of controversy. And the fact is, as a consumer on the other end, where I was looking for my water purifier to be changed, I really did find that a little insensitive. Now, there, what is the conversation that you're having? Because now people are also becoming more and more aware, and all these shifts are happening like a tipping point. So digital was penetrating. Now it has reached, because of COVID, it was like a tipping point. Internally, we have a joke actually that the digital disruptor of the year is not the CMO, is not the CTO, is not the CEO, is in fact COVID-19. Actually, so that's the thing. So that's the shift with which we are looking at the CPMs, the numbers, which obviously did have an anomaly.
I mean, I think, what I wanted to also understand, so all the examples which you have given is for more of a established brands,
Yes,
right? But we, all our members are kind of a more of a startups, right?
exactly.
From the startup point of view, what kind of a strategy they should use to ensure that they acquire at the lower cost, they retain the customers which they have retained,
Sure.
and communicate with them and engage with the customers.
So I'll give you an example of Ace Blend, which is the brand that I mentioned, which is the plant-based Nourisher brand. Now we have grown that brand from zero. In the year 2018, it launched, and today it's a healthy community of 30,000 followers on Instagram, purely built organically. Now, one of the things is, beyond the consumer and the customers that the brand has, 80% of our followers within the community itself are our customers. Now, that at that point in time when COVID happened, now Ace Blend is a startup. When COVID happened, it did affect the business directly because deliveries were an issue. At that point in time, we pivoted and we started talking about health and immunity as a conversation, because that's a direct byproduct of our brand as well. And it's a result, it's an effect that you see as a consumer. So we actually did that. And for 1.5 months, till the time our product was actually moved into the essential category, because it's technically food, which wasn't considered as an essential for the first 6 weeks. We kept the brand, we kept the community engaged with tips, tricks, information on how to really build your immunity without being transactional. And I think that is what the community really, really appreciated. And the name of the brand is Ace Blend, ACE space BLEND, Ace Blend. So that is something that really helped us. And that wouldn't have been possible had we not understood what the consumer is also appreciating and looking for with their brands that they buy and they align themselves with. So that's the thing.
So Rohin, there is a question for you. So I think it's very clear. It's asking that when the CPM was lower in those 90 days, what was the kind of a conversion matrix? And also I want to add, if you can add on the similar track where how the startups can use this particular opportunity where still it's not reached to maybe the pre-COVID area in terms of the CPM rates.
So in terms of the conversion funnel, what we were also suggesting to brands is to keep pushing more at the top of the funnel, which is getting the engagement from new people, or let's say keeping in touch with your existing customers. That activity actually was very cost effective during last 90 days. In terms of the conversions, if you look at it, let's say a conversion funnel would typically be on an e-commerce website somewhere around 2% on the number of total clicks, transactions. Now what we saw was that was actually anywhere between 1.5 to 2. It didn't go upwards of 2, but because the ads were so cost effective, if a brand was earlier making a 500% ROI on the ad spends, during those last 90 days they were roughly at 800 to 900% ROI. So brands actually took that opportunity to increase their scale and make more money. Again, this is also a factor of, let's say, if you are watching pre-COVID, let's say around 10 ads on your Facebook wall, 6 of those advertisers are not spending any money at all. So you are looking at maybe 4 ads during COVID. So technically the propensity to consume the content and let's say to engage with the brand becomes higher. So all in all, it actually went very well for brands who were able to support logistics, couriers, and everything along with marketing efforts. But went well for few brands, and they scaled up very well.
Okay.
Sorry, you had one more question. Sorry.
And what kind of a hacks these startups can use in this particular time? Means I think that is something which we want to really know. where we don't spend too much and we get a very good return on investment also.
Okay, so I'll give one hack that we've observed. Typically, there's a correlation between what kind of products people view and click. So they come into your retargeting ecosystem. India being a very price sensitive market, if let's say I am a brand who's catering to a price range of 2,000 to 10,000 rupees, let's say in jewelry or in fashion. Any first time user will probably look at my 2000 or a 3000 rupee product on discount and will come onto my website, but finally will end up buying something else. So it becomes easier for me to identify which products get me a lower cost top funnel, and then I need to be careful enough which products will help me convert them faster. Those necessarily might be not be the same. And a couple of things also that need to track is that there's a very stark difference between average order values. So somebody buying from me for the first time, let's say, is buying worth 1,000 rupee per order. But somebody who's my loyal customer, he comes back to me and buys, he'll be buying stuff worth, let's say, 1,600 or 1,700. So accordingly, I need to tweak my targeting, what kind of products I show, because the assumption is at 1,600 average value, I have more money, adds more to my top line. And the customer also kind of gets to see the premium collection that I have. So I think those two parameters must be kept in mind by startups. So there's a healthy mix of new traffic plus the money that they make on every sale.
Umair, do you want to add anything on that?
Yeah, I think I was just waiting for to jump in, to accentuate Rohin's point. I think he's absolutely right. It's cheaper to engage and retain a customer than to acquire a new customer. And I think one of the things that we've done, especially for startups, is made it really easy for conversion optimization. So, we go hand in hand with AdYogi. So while their job is to actually drive that awareness, and education phase of a customer and bring the customer onto the website for product discovery and, pricing discovery. Our whole product is designed to improve one metric only, which is conversion rates. And where we lack today, as an ecosystem, as a startup ecosystem as well, and overall as a e-commerce ecosystem, is when I look at Amazon, because that is the aspiration that every one of us has. That's the pinnacle of an e-commerce company is Amazon for us, right? While we do look at other successful retail brands, as an e-commerce company, there has been no, we've seen the numbers, right? There is no other successful company more successful than Amazon, and their conversion rates, and I kid you not, you can Google this, it's around between 10 to 15%. And what is the conversion rate that we see today with e-commerce brands? It's less than 1%. Less than 1%, 0.8, 0.9, 1. If you're really good, 1.2%, 1.5%. I remember there was this brand who threw a party and even sent us when we hit 2%. I said, boss, 2% is not going to cut it. We are, we're way short of the pinnacle. And if that is the aspiration, because whether you are selling mats or you're selling chappal, footwear, you're selling essential, non-essential, you're selling luxury goods, or you're selling something completely random, which has absolutely no correlation to living life whatsoever. At the end of the day, there has to be an aspiration to become a certain brand, right? And that aspiration has to be backed by data. And that data says that 2% is not going to cut it. So our whole hypothesis is that once, you can leverage the lower CPM, like, Rohin was mentioning, and you can drive the traffic back, you have to convert it on your own website, right? And that is where the conversion optimization. So top of the funnel building is extremely important, because otherwise you will keep on, you will keep on that vicious cycle of customer high CAC. And yep. I know AdYogi also attacks that metric with their product of lowering down the customer acquisition cost by optimizing. It's just that both our products have very different approaches. Their product focusing on optimizing and automating your ads so that your CAC gets lower. and our product is designed on the website, the customer journey can be mapped, right? And if there is a customer who's already shopped, right? So A is converting that customer, but also a lot of these brands have, I was talking to this, I don't want to name, but I was talking to this cosmetic brand, which is very big in retail, but e-commerce wise, their website is very new. And that's the example I'll take. Now, they said, and I quote, what is the need to do to reach out to my lost customers? And we define lost customers that Wixo automatically analyzes your existing customer data, your existing orders and data, and will say that if the customer passes 170 days or whatever it comes down from your data, that particular day is called lapse point. If that customer passes that lapse point, that means that now they are a lost customer, right? Typically, they're not going to come back and shop with you. So he said, they're already lost. I said, do you know, like bigger brands, some more successful companies, they regularly convert 20% of their lost customer because it's insanely cheaper to come back. Now, it can be done via retargeting on Facebook and Google by running specific customer-wise orders, customer-wise communication across different ad sets. Or it can be done via your own communication channel, which we allow, so that segment is automatically created. You don't have to lift a finger to create a segment. So for startups, you will only survive in this ecosystem as a product like us or AdYogi, or, if you either make them more money or you save them time. You have to do one of those things or both to survive in this ecosystem. And I think that is what we have to focus on, that you have to save them time. So as a company, what we did was we created something called predefined segments. So as soon as you connect your e-commerce store, Shopify, Magento, whatever, we take in the data, we create these 40 plus predefined segments like high AOV customer, low average order value customer, discount shopper, big spenders, all of that automatically create. Why did we create that? So that at-risk customer, lost customer, so that, the brands, the startups can, spend more time in getting these customers back rather than creating that funnel by themselves. So I think to Rohin's point, I think this is the focus has to be, we have to aspire to convert more customers who are landing onto the website and convert more customers from our existing. We have gold mines.
So I think, Umesh, it's like getting more customers and converting them. That's a kind of everybody wants to do that, and that's the journey, and that's why I think everyone is here. So I just wanted to move to a next part where when we are talking about the paid marketing, because there are so many avenues nowadays to do paid marketing. So how brand can decide saying that what kind of a budget should be assigned to Facebook vis-a-vis Google, vis-a-vis YouTube, and many other new channels were coming in. So is there any metrics, or it all depends upon brand to brand or a category to category? Rohin,
I think Rohin is best suited to answer the acquisition part of it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So to your question, I think the first thing that has to be defined is that which kind of vertical are we in? Is that an impulse purchase or is that an intent-based purchase? So the moment I talk about intent, Google suddenly becomes the top priority as the first platform.
So let me put a question. So if it is say kind of an F&B product where it is a health drink. So in the current time, health drink is an essential purchase.
Right.
But same time, it is non-essential also.
Correct. Makes sense. So now it suddenly looks like an out of course question, but so I'll tell you, it's a good time again with a disclaimer that it's probably a wrong choice of word, but health drink players will definitely need to have a good shout out to newer audiences, to cold audiences, that they are in this particular domain. And they would want new customers to come in and try the products. Right? There will definitely be, let's say, some loyal audience who will probably do a Google search.
So let me be very specific, Rohin. So would you suggest them to start with Facebook and Google? So if I want to say spend ₹1 lakh per month, right now, what kind of a strategy you will give them? Just overall, give me a percentage saying that based on health.
I would give 60% onto Facebook and Instagram and balance on Google.
Okay. So based on category and the target audience, you should be able to define which channels. That's what you are saying.
Yes, absolutely. And even let's say a lakh for a month is a let's say is a small budget, but within first 10 days you'll be able to realize what kind of monetization each platform is giving you. So if you have the correct levers and matrices in place, you'll actually be able to accurately map. Spending 1 rupee on Facebook gives you how much revenue. Spending 1 rupee on Google gives you how much revenue. The good part of Google is it's intent based, so conversion rate is much higher. So we need to factor that in. And the other, let's say, probably a slight downside of Google is that it is limited by search. So number of people searching for your product or for your category will always be a fraction of the world which is out there on Facebook. So both the things will have to be balanced, keeping that in mind, and then accordingly we can look at splitting up or let's say scale up.
Okay. So, I mean, what kind of a strategy you will suggest?
So actually, the question that you asked is exactly the brand's name that I mentioned some time back. But just to highlight on the strategy part of it, see, usually what happens is it depends on, like we said, impulse or intent. Now that's a very important question. Now, that is the question to ask. We have to start with the fact that what is it that the brand's objective is? Is the brand trying to build a community around it? Because is it a recurring purchase that will happen, or is it something that which needs to purely lie at the awareness level, where as much as affinity is possible, it's good. Otherwise, the brand will have its own journey, or the customer will have its own journey offline as well. So that's a very important question to ask before we decide. Now, assuming that today all the brands that we are talking to are directly going to the customer. So either it's available on marketplace or it is selling through their own e-com. Social becomes a great, portal and medium specifically to promote and advertise. So the strategy to look at it is that, first of all, I would request everyone to stop looking at digital only as a medium. Digital is not a medium. Digital is a space. Digital is a space with multiple mediums, and each medium has its own behavior. So what is very important to understand is what is it that the person who goes on Instagram to do, what is the mindset of the customer? And if you're present there, can you actually add to the mind space of the consumer, either by information or through engagement or through education? Is there something that when the customer comes across your post, are they going back, feeling that, yes, I've got some information which I wasn't aware of earlier? So that is a very important thing to ponder upon and reflect. And if suppose, for instance, I'll give you a working case in point with, in this case, again, I'll take AceBlend because I've built that community from zero. We started only with Instagram. We didn't go anywhere else for the first 12 months. The reason being because, and right now I'm working with Fankind also, which is a startup by Anshula Kapoor, who's Arjun Kapoor's sister. It's purely in the charity space. We are focusing on Instagram as a platform for these brands is because these brands, to a certain extent, despite being in one in the health space and one being in the charity space, has a lifestyle and an entertainment quotient attached to it, which is very important to understand. And if there is a lifestyle element that is attached to your brand, I think that is where you have to create the imagery, the conversation in a directed manner from your social channels. And where what we do and what we look at is Facebook as a universe is great. And Facebook will always be as a universe where we run awareness-led campaigns, which can lead to conversions, because the performance conversions are still the best on that platform. So we look at it from that perspective. But when we look at Instagram, we are looking at building a community, and that is where influencer marketing, whether you do influencer marketing for affiliation, I mean, whether you do it for affinity or whether you do it as a form of affiliation marketing, the point is that avenue becomes extremely important to build your community, because organic growth is a myth. It doesn't exist anymore. Before, when I started my career, we had a 16% EdgeRank reach at that point in time, and we used to do one post, and if we had a community of 1 lakh, there were by default 20,000 likes on it. That is done. Today, if even if I have a community of 10 million, it's not going to happen. So that understanding is extremely important. Like Rohan said, between intent and impulse. Intent. Now, for instance, we have not a startup, but I've worked extensively with Danone Protein X. Now that is a brand that is very intent driven, or for that matter of fact, Pride of Cows, which is by Parag Milks and Food. Now that is something that was a startup within the ecosystem, which was very, very intent driven, and with a delivery ecosystem that was limited only to Mumbai, Thane, and eventually Pune. So when you have something like that, for us, SEO became the most important place to be, not social, because the intent was high. So I think it purely depends on where the brand is playing, in which area it is playing, and then you decide the medium strategy, which we call within the space of digital. Because then you will always be this one question, which is like, hey, I have only 1 lakh, where do I split?
Right.
And that's a very first level question. I think the deeper question to ask is, I have 1 lakh, but how do I make sure this 1 lakh is best spent? Irrespective, I can not be on social, it's okay. For 6 months, I'm not going to lose anything. If I'm there on search and I'm still getting business, that's the way you're going to grow. So it's a very customized approach that we take, which we call as a bespoke model for startups, because we also have a startup incubator as a company called SparkNext, which is by Ahmed Naqvi, who's the CEO and co-founder of GoZoop. So we have SparkNext, where we incubate startups, and GoZoop helps in marketing to grow those startups as well.
Yeah.
So that is how we kind of understand that ecosystem. At least that is how I look at it, and probably would love to hear more perspectives.
Perfect. So I think there is a small question which has come up saying that what about Amazon as a advertising platform? So if somebody can just quickly, like maybe in a minute, can answer that, will be a great help. Rohin, you want to take that?
I'll take that.
Advertising platform.
Yes. What we typically suggest is that brands with low average order value products, let's say if someone's selling something worth 200, 300, Amazon by far becomes the best choice to advertise because Amazon charges you on share of revenue, whereas Facebook will charge you for cost per click. So irrespective you are selling ₹1,000 dress or let's say an insurance policy worth 50,000 rupees, Facebook click more or less will remain anywhere from let's say 7-8 rupees to a 20 rupee click. So it doesn't make viability for a brand to sell low average order value products. So it's basically that primary choice. And second part is the repeat rate. If the brand has a high repeat rate, they should definitely focus on the website because repeat audience is very easy to convert. And if there's just one-time buying activity that has to happen, then the marketplaces are the best choice.
Okay, cool.
I just want to add one thing, Jitendra, is just a personal experience. Actually, I know a founder of a luggage brand who purely built the brand on Amazon, and within 2 years has clocked in a turnover of over 40 crores purely by being present on marketplace. No social presence, nothing, but purely focused on Amazon. That is also one of the ways of building a brand. And once you have got enough affinity there on that platform, you move to social and other channels. It can also work the other way.
Right. So I think we are already moved towards social. So want to now pick your brains on social channel. So of course there are traditional channels of social of Facebook and LinkedIn's of the world, but there are new channels, right? Instagram is something still new for India, and there are more new channels like TikTok. Is it certainly working, or is it just a hype, or what it is?
So
anyone.
Okay, I think Umair, if you want to start, I'll go after you.
Sure. No, I think what we're saying is a more holistic approach. It's not, there's no one channel or one answer to any particular brand, right? It depends on your product market fit and your audience. Wherever they are, you have to be there. If they are present on Amazon, then that's where you have to be. If they're present on TikTok, and if you sell to that audience, you have to find out what is the target audience that you're going after, and you have to be present. And that is where the automation comes into picture, because if you are doing as an entrepreneur, आपकी team छोटी होती है जब आप startup, when you if you're a D2C brand, you have a small team that's running your e-commerce. आपको e-commerce भी run करना है, आपको procurement भी देखना है, उधर से आपको पीछे से क्रेडिट के लिए भी पुश हो रहा है, आपके ऑर्डर्स आ रहे हैं, उसमें रिफंड्स आ रहे हैं, आपको टीम को भी देखना है, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग भी देखनी है, एम्प्लॉइज कहाँ से हायर करने, कौन हायर करना है वो भी देखना है. तो मतलब अगर सारी चीजें एक इंसान को देखनी है, that means either he needs a very large team or he needs automation in his life, right? So I think but back to your point, I think wherever the audience is, you have to be there. अगर TikTok पे audience है तो TikTok पे वो करना है, and you have to figure out a right strategy. There is no answer for every that fits everyone. There is absolutely no answer that fits everyone. Startup hai, agar if you're selling
But you
a
think
product,
that these TikToks and the new channels are also good channel of acquisition and retention in a longer term?
absolutely, absolutely. See, at the end of the day, what you need to do is be present at a brand, and you will. This is something that analytics, right? Customer analytics, जो आपके store पे installed है, वो आपको बताएगा. And that is where I feel कि बहुत सारे startups, they think that data that is coming into their e-commerce is monopolized by large. ऐसा नहीं है. आज की date में there are products like ours also, which is combining your data which is coming from Google Ads and Facebook and also your orders data. तो आप एक एक ऑर्डर पे पिन पॉइंट करके बता सकते हैं कि आपने क्या इसमें पैसा कमाया या नहीं कमाया, नेट प्रॉफिट आपका इसमें क्या था, चैनल वाइज आप बता सकते हैं, ड्रिल डाउन कर सकते हैं, right? Only thing is you require a product that seamlessly connects with your D2C website. आप फिर एक्विजिशन चैनल कोई भी यूज करें, इंस्टाग्राम यूज कर रहे हैं, वो यूज कर रहे हैं, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे अगर वो चैनल आपके जब वेबसाइट पे आके कन्वर्जन नहीं दे रहा है, इमेजिन यू स्पेंड a lakh of rupees on Instagram and a lakh on TikTok, for example, right? या 10,000 ले लेते हैं, 10,000 आपने दोनों चैनल्स पे इन्वेस्ट किया और आपने देखा कि एक ने 12,000 की सेल करी, एक ने 13,000 की सेल करी. आपको लगा कि यार ये 13,000 वाला चैनल ही मेरे लिए काम करेगा, बट व्हाट यू डिडंट रियलाइज कि कौन से SKU बिके हैं, ठीक है? क्या उन SKU की कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड सोल्ड इज मैपिंग विद मेरा क्या ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट उस 13,000 में ज्यादा आ रहा है या 12,000 में ज्यादा आ रहा है? एंड दैट इज वेयर आई थिंक लैक ऑफ डेटा is creating a picture जहां पे ज्यादा रेवेन्यू करने का मतलब दिखता है कि so there is no एक सिंगल चैनल कोई किसी के लिए एक्विजिशन के लिए वो नहीं हो सकता. All the channels have to be experimented with, tests have to be run, various A/B tests have to be done. Like I said, where automation comes into place, someone like AdYogi is one of the example why they've been so successful is because they actually help make you more money and help you save time. But and secondly, आपको वो डेटा आप फाइनली आपके बैकएंड में देखना है कि कि कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड सोल्ड के बेसिस पे क्या मेरा नेट प्रॉफिट टिकटॉक पे बेटर आया है या मेरा नेट प्रॉफिट इंस्टाग्राम पे बेटर आ रहा है, ठीक है? एंड देन यू आल्सो हैव टू लुक एट ड्रिल डाउन इनटू इट कि कौन से प्रोडक्ट SKUs बिके, कौन सा नेट प्रॉफिट आ रहा है, कौन सा ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट, बट आल्सो मेरे रिपीट परचेजेस क्या है. सो ड्रिल डाउन टू अ लेवल वेयर यू आर सीइंग कि यार मेरे टिकटॉक से 200 लोग आए, बट इन 200 लोगों में से दोबारा किसी ने भी 100+ डेज में शॉपिंग नहीं करी. Whereas इंस्टाग्राम से 50 ही लोग आए, ठीक है, उतने बजट में, फर्स्ट लेवल शॉपिंग उतनी थी, बट ओवरऑल दीज पीपल हैव कम बैक एंड शॉप ट्वाइस थ्राइस. तो क्या आपके उस पर्टिकुलर सेगमेंट ऑफ ऑडियंस का LTV क्या है, लाइफ टाइम वैल्यू क्या है, राइट? एंड दोज आर द मेट्रिक्स दैट यू हैव टू एनालाइज. एंड समटाइम्स इट बिकम्स सो डिफिकल्ट विद ओवरफ्लो ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन एंड डेटा. जैसे मैंने बताया कि आपको ये भी करना है, आपको हायरिंग भी करनी है, आपको 50 चीजें करनी है, तो इतना मुश्किल हो जाता है एंटरप्रेन्योर के लिए.
So just want to add, Umair, and then we can move to Amin and Rohin also. So what, say like a small startup just started, right? Not established ones, or maybe even the established ones. What are the top 5 key metrics which they should be looking at? Only
right.
top 5.
Top 5, right.
It can be from your acquisition, retention, conversation, all 3. Only top 5.
Sure. So the top 5 metrics that you should be looking at for any startup or even for a larger company is पहला सबसे important conversion rate different channels का, right? कि कितने लोग आ रहे हैं, कितने convert हो रहे हैं, because that is the second you should be looking at your top of the funnel numbers. ठीक है, टॉप ऑफ द फनल नंबर्स का मतलब हो गया कि जितने लोग आपकी वेबसाइट पे आए, जिन लोगों ने शॉपिंग नहीं करी, क्योंकि कन्वर्जन रेट आपका 1% ही है, ठीक है? तो यानी 1000 लोग आए तो 10 लोगों ने शॉपिंग करी, 990 लोगों ने शॉपिंग नहीं करी, 990 पीपल डिड नॉट शॉप. उस 990 लोगों में से आपने कितने लोगों का डेटा कलेक्ट किया, ठीक है? पर्सनली आइडेंटिफाइबल इंफॉर्मेशन, PII जिसको बोलते हैं, कि आपने कितने लोगों के लिए, ताकि आप उनको बाद में रीच आउट कर सको, ठीक है? So how much push notification numbers did you capture? How much email addresses did you capture? How much SMS numbers did you capture? Right? How much can you WhatsApp them? So ये second metric हो गया, आपने कितना top of the funnel number build किया, ठीक है? Third हो गया आपके जो conversions आए, ठीक है, उनका average order value क्या था, ठीक है, एंड ब्रोकन डाउन बाय चैनल वाइज कि मेरे चैनल्स से इतने कन्वर्जन आए, एक ही सेल है, बट मेरा एवरेज ऑर्डर वैल्यू फ्रॉम ईच चैनल इज दिस. दैट्स द थर्ड मेट्रिक, राइट. फोर्थ मेट्रिक इज एलटीवी. इज अब क्या आपका फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम, टिकटॉक नए कस्टमर लेके आ रहा है या वही रिपीट परचेजर्स लेके आ रहा है? ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है देखना कि क्या वो ऑलरेडी डेटा में एग्जिस्ट करता है. बिकॉज फेसबुक बोलेगा मैंने करा ये कन्वर्ट, ये नया कस्टमर है, बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मे बी दैट कस्टमर हैज ऑलरेडी शॉप. सो अ 360 डिग्री व्यू ऑफ अ कस्टमर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. क्या वो परचेज करता है, कितना उसका एवरेज ऑर्डर वैल्यू है, कितना उसका पर ईयर कितने ऑर्डर्स करता है, राइट. दैट इज द फोर्थ मेट्रिक, कस्टमर रिलेटेड डेटा. अब जब 10 कस्टमर होते हैं तो आसान होता है देखना, ठीक है. जब कस्टमर 100,000 हो जाते हैं तो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाता है. इसीलिए फिफ्थ डेटा जो उनको देखना है वो ईच bucketed segment data. Now, typically, whether you are a startup or you are a, अगर आप स्टार्टअप हो तो इजी है बिल्ड करना वो ये वाला स्टेप डाउन फ्लो. बट अगर आप थोड़ा सा डेटा ज्यादा हो जाता है, आपके 10,000 यूजर्स हो जाते हैं, तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है कि each segment of customers buy different products. To devise your strategy कि कौन से टाइप के एड्स रन करने, you absolutely have to know कि आपके जो मोस्ट प्रॉफिटेबल कस्टमर है वो कौन से प्रोडक्ट्स बाय कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. तो फाइनल फिफ्थ मेट्रिक टू एनालाइज इन ई कॉमर्स इज कि बॉस ये मेरा मुझे पता चल गया इंस्टाग्राम से मेरा नेट प्रॉफिट सबसे ज्यादा है, बढ़िया रेवेन्यू आ रहा है, चैनल बढ़िया चल रहा है, रोहिन ने एकदम बजट एकदम सेट करके रखा है, रोहिन की टीम ने सब बढ़िया चल रहा है, ठीक है. एड योगी ने एकदम काम बढ़िया कर रखा है. अब सेकंड आपका इसमें जो वो आता है कि प्रोडक्ट्स कौन से बिक रहे हैं. That is where you will realize कि oh, if you tweak that your marketing campaigns, whether you're doing emails to them, whether you're doing SMS to them, whether you're doing Facebook or Instagram, if you tweak this marketing based on कि कौन से products popular हैं उस particular category में, ठीक है, then you will automatically get way better CTRs because you're directly talking to the segment of audience, right. High average order value customers कौन से प्रोडक्ट्स बाय कर रहे हैं. So these are the 5 metrics according to me. Obviously, I mean open to interpretation, but and you know Rohin and Amin can add to it. But according to me, these are the 5 most important metrics that they should be tracking today.
Sure. Rohin, what's your take?
Yeah, so I think Umair has left very little on the table for me and Amin to add on to. It's a power-packed business class lesson. But I'll just simply put brands should measure, or let's say D2C brands should measure cost per click and earnings per click. These should be measured channel wise. So for example, what is your cost per click coming from Facebook? What is your cost earning per click coming from Facebook? Exactly this lens can be looked at from Google, from Instagram, and a further level of detail is this can be split across your creatives and the audiences. So if I have a video creative, how much have I spent on that video creative? What is the revenue that I got? Again, EPC and CPC. And along with that, this can be done on audience as well. So what is my 30-day retargeting audience giving me on EPC versus CPC on Instagram, let's say. Similarly, what is my customer base giving me as earning per click and cost per click? So these are the matrices that can be drilled down. So it's a very simple formula which can be calculated even from the Facebook panel or from Google Analytics as well, if that has been configured. But I think if this can be tracked down to the smallest level of where the spends matter to the brands, this should give them a good insight on where to spend more and how to scale up.
Amin, you.
हमारी पूरी जिंदगी आपने दोनों ने खत्म कर दी सारे काम. So now, so the point is that.
So let me ask you. So there is a new metrics which is everybody is talking about is a conversation.
Yes.
So what about that? What is that metrics?
So the thing is, in terms of conversations, to begin with, first of all, is the metric that actually we really closely monitor are 2 metrics that we should look at as a brand. One is the engagement rate, because that is extremely crucial. Before, when the industry started, everyone started chasing community growth. Is my community 1 million, 2 million, 3 million? Now the thing is, even if you have a community of 20,000 people or 25,000 people, but they really engage with you. And when I say I engage, industry average is still at a 2 or 3%. But if you are, and for most of the brands that we work in, we get an average engagement of around 8%, 10%, 12%. I'm talking about organic engagement, which is where what it means is that this community is interacting with the content that you're creating. And that content, whatever that you're creating, when you run for performance also, you will see the conversion rates going higher. You will see the clicks becoming higher, because everything that we are talking about, data is a derivative of the creative that is working behind it. It is a seamless marriage between the two. One can't work in isolation with the other. So that is how it is. So engagement rate, according to me, is very, very crucial as a number that you should be checking. And second is,
And how I should be checking that number? What should be the parameters?
so actually, see, now there are different tools that use different formulas to do it. Like usually, I'll tell you the industry standard formula is likes plus comments plus shares upon the reach that you have got for that particular piece of content into 100. That's your engagement score. That this is how much engagement my content generated. Now, if you look at an unmetric, they will do likes plus comments plus shares upon total community to the power of 0.8 into 100. Because the thing is, the reason that they do that is because they factor in the inorganic element into it, because organic growth is limited. So for me, engagement rate, if your brand is able to generate somewhere around 8%, 10% engagement without spending money, I think that is a great testament to the fact that you're doing good content. The second thing is share of voice within your particular category and your immediate competitors. If a brand is able to narrow down that well, what is the conversation that you are eating into as a pie? I think that is a very important thing. And I'll give a very small example, not a brand that we are managing, but a brand that I came across on Instagram. It's called Sold Store, which is an online apparel brand. And if Umair is smiling, I think he's managing it. But I'll just say that Sold Store, there's this campaign recently, which I really loved. And I thought that was a beautiful insight that was captured into performance creators that were generated. It said that we have the best solids that we can offer. So the size is the most important aspect. So if one t-shirt fits you, now you know which other 7 to buy in terms of color preference. I thought that was beautiful, because what it did was it took a very fundamental insight that inherently as human beings we are lazy. And specifically, and as a person who personally prefers solid t-shirts, I am the kind of guy who actually loves a fit. I'll buy the same color, same 7 t-shirts, different colors. My entire week is sorted. So I thought that was a very nice insight that not just made me click on it, at least made me go and sample it, now made me remember it. And when I will convert, what will be attributed at the back end was this was a lead that actually first came through performance, but neither through remarketing, nothing else was actually converted better. And then you will associate a lifetime value, and you will know that what is the kind of value that I'm adding to your final number. So I think that those are, whatever metrics that we are talking about, those all kind of are very symbiotic into the creative and the content plus the data. How do you marry and close the loop is I think, and each one you can actually select one or two. Like when I used to do performance, and which I used to do for Papa John's as a pizza brand. I used to take, we usually used to take lifetime value, because we said that if a person who's eating pizza more frequently is the customer that we should be reaching out to, because the person is more in the mood to make that impulse purchase. And I think that was a very important metric that we took. So while everything else is important, you can personalize and you can choose one or two that you really want to focus and go like, as long as this is growing, we are good, in that sense. So that is there. But Umair, if you and your team have done the Sold Store campaign, I think it was beautiful.
Unfortunately, we are not part of the brand. We are only part of retention marketing.
Okay.
The branding team is their own. But we do come across these amazing examples. One is this. We had a couple of other brands talk about. There's a segment that they immediately launched. Like, for example, obviously Jockey has been pioneers in athleisure, but a lot of other apparel brands recently has picked up athleisure as a buzzword. You're right that every brand, every product has something unique that they need to point it out in their creatives and the USP of their product, right? Whether it's a vest it's a t-shirt. I mean, it's at the end of the day a t-shirt, right? What's the big deal about it? But the way you communicate in ads, and the way you talk to your audience, like you said, the Soul Store, and I'm a huge fan of their marketing. And in fact, there's a question for all three of us: how important are creative versus targeting? And I can tell you that creatives are as important as targeting, right? Maybe even to a certain extent more. And why we focus on personalization, I'll tell you why we are giving you all this data, so that it's not only beautiful creative but also relevant creative.
Absolutely.
Right? So it has to be relevant. अब अगर बहुत ही सुंदर पिक्चर्स में मुझे कोई लिपस्टिक बेच रहा होगा, तो कितनी भी सुंदर पिक्चर है, मैं वो नहीं खरीदूंगा at the end of the day, right? So it has to be beautiful, but it also has to be relevant to the audience, right? So I mean, you can elaborate on that.
So we are actually overshot the time, but if all three of you are okay, and I think everybody else is enjoying, I'm enjoying myself personally, enjoying a lot, and also gaining a lot of knowledge. So we can continue, but just wanted to remind you that
ऐसा तो नहीं है किसी की मेट्रो निकल रही है, मतलब
पूछ रहा हूँ भाई, आपको और कुछ हो सकता है?
नहीं, मतलब वही मैं कह रहा हूँ कि
आज फ्राइडे इवनिंग है, तो
This was a time when Friday evening had a meaning, to it.
Nowadays there are just evenings. There are nothing else. That's it.
So we can continue. I think it is a very engaging exchange. So we can continue.
So I would answer that. Anish, I believe, has asked this. I would really ask a question in return: that which eye do you think is more important, the right eye or the left eye? To view the picture more clearly. It's the same question. Because I think there is an industry perception where, and I think this is one of the articles also that I've written on 20 Truth Bombs about digital marketing, because that was the same reason. Well, this is this conversation where a lot of agencies, because they are from a creative background, say that, creative is important. And there are a lot of agencies who represent data. They go like, data is important. But the fact is that both are symbiotic. And if you analyze so before, what we do is we call the arena. From a strategy perspective, we call an arena, that every brand competes in an arena. Now, today a Soul Store, as much as it tries, it can't compete with a Zara Basic. It is not going to, because your category, your consumer, the wallet share, the power, purchasing power is all different. The understanding and the sensibility is very, very different. So when you marry the content and the creative to finally the output, you will realize that there are certain trends and patterns about your consumer, which is extremely important to tap into. And once you do that, and if you get the targeting absolutely right, when we say targeting, it means targeting right from the creative targeting to the media targeting. It is a winner. And to get there, you have to make a lot of mistakes. But what the important point is to either find a partner or either have an in-house team that can fail fast, but in fact move even faster out of that failure. I think that is where the difference of really lies in terms of at least marketing. There are obviously a lot of logistics and a lot of back-end things that happen, which will depend from brand to brand and the category to category. But at least from a marketing perspective, this is extremely crucial.
So tell me one thing. So because of this lockdown situation, the old age group, right, 50 plus, is also now using internet, right? And if somebody is targeting that particular age group, so what kind of a channel, what kind of a strategy they should be using?
So we'll move to Rohin to answer that, but I'll just add here one thing is there was this article where I had read, there was this article by ET which was called Uncle Hoga Tera Baap. And it spoke about this fact that everyone who's from the age group of 40 above, somewhere because of this whole millennial and Gen Z conversation, they have been drastically ignored. And if you look at one brand that has captured the space where disposable income really lies, is called Cred. Now, this platform that has been created is being used by serious credit card users in India with an average credit swipe of 13,000. Now, if you can understand that if your brand can really fit in there, you have answered that. As far as the older age group is concerned, though they are active on Facebook, a lot of the early movers and adopters are still present on Instagram. They are still going on different websites to consume news and information. They are equally invested in entertainment and politics as a conversation. So I think that social is just one of the mediums. There is an entire digital ecosystem where you can reach out to them, you can target them. In fact, native articles is one of the other thing. Content services, according to me, in India, and the way we are looking at marketing, is yet to really grow, because content services is still at a nation stage.
So just wanted all three of you to add to my question. One is the age group, which is kind of moved to maybe 55 plus. Let me be more specific. And second is Varnak. Like the tier 2, tier 3 cities, adoption have increased significantly. So because these startups might want to go there rather than fighting for metros and provide products to them. Like I want to go to tier 2, tier 3 and provide my products to them rather than fighting with the established brands in metros. So what kind of a channels do you see that people should be using? Or what kind of a strategy? It can be a content strategy, it can be a paid marketing strategy, or any kind of a strategy. Anyone who can start and then we can continue.
I can answer this from a platform perspective and a paid marketing perspective. So one is the older audience or the senior audience. If you look at the split of platforms, I think Aman has perfectly answered it, that you will find 50 plus or 55 plus audience largely on Facebook, followed by Instagram, and very unlikely to find such kind of people on TikTok, because that's a very different behavioral audience that we have on TikTok. And this can be overlapped and mapped with, again, the Google search volume. So you can get some insights from there, what kind of search volumes of relevant products are happening in those age brackets. And then you can top it up with your retargeting strategies on Facebook, or let's say anything what Umesh suggests. Secondly, coming to vernacular, I think English is definitely still, let's say, the preferred choice. Having said that, once brands achieve a scale, I'll give you a case in point. So we work with Dr. Vaidya's very closely. It's an Ayurvedic brand of over 100 years, and they've scaled up very aggressively. And so they have a couple of crores as their digital spends every month with us. Now, TikTok is a native platform, so you can create ads in Hindi, you can create ads in your Marathi language. And along with that, there are a lot of other small startups which have picked up, let's say, I show you the content in Marathi, and I make sure the entire funnel of purchasing, even those add to carts and even, let's say, proceed to checkout, is also in Marathi. So you don't, let's say, I don't leave you high and dry once you click on a Marathi ad, but then I take you through in English. So that has definitely helped to reach out to a deeper penetration level in terms of the audience. But I would still suggest keep that as part of phase 2. English is by far, we've seen tier 2 also picks up English creatives and English conversions very well. The moment we have higher budgets, or we have, let's say, tier 3 or tier 4 markets to look at, then we can definitely explore native platforms like TikTok or Taboola, or let's say even creating ads on Facebook in Hindi. That also works.
Yeah.
I think before that, also there are a couple of questions now. So I think before we wrap it up, let's answer those as well. I think there was
so
a
we can complete this
if
if you have anything to add, and then we can go towards the questions.
No, I think Rohin and Amin have already, and मैं फिर बोलना शुरू करूँगा, फिर बोलेंगे यार ये रुकता नहीं है आदमी.
ठीक है, चलो sir, we'll go on the questions then.
So I think one of the questions is my favorite. And typically this is one of the most asked questions. If I had to build a FAQ bot, this was the first question that I would build. Is that now there are a lot of people, like Amin said, that जिन्होंने Amazon और marketplaces पे बढ़िया business build कर लिया, right? 30-40 crores, and I also am in touch with few people who have done that. Now they want to build a brand for 2 reasons, right? A, कि उसको अपनी वेबसाइट पे, क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे यार कोई भी नहीं चाहता है कि 25% मार्जिन जाए, 30% मार्जिन जाए, right? They want to reduce that cut that is going out. Second, brands also want to own the audience. मेरे पास रहेगा, मेरा customer है. So one of the things, I don't know if it is actually allowed, but we had a brand in US which did this. It's called text to join, right? So India mein it could be WhatsApp to join, right? And we built this text to join for a brand called Hudson and Ivy, which is insanely large in the US. But and they had this problem, right? So they said कि यार हमें अपनी retail audience को online लेके जाना है. So उन्होंने कहा कि हम दिन के we are doing somewhere close to about 12,000 orders across US in our retail stores, but कोई data capture नहीं है. and it's a luxury segment. तो data capture करना हमारे लिए वो intrusive हो जाता है थोड़ा सा, ठीक है? So they started adding small slips into their this thing, and this could be done by, I don't know, it could be done by brands selling goods, could be little part of that piece which is inside of shoe or whatever the product you're saying that we are on WhatsApp, say hi to get 5% off on your next order or whatever, right? Incentivize them so that they get in touch with you rather than you getting in touch with them, right? And because they've already purchased your product on Amazon or Flipkart or wherever, right? And I will tell you, the biggest influencer of any product are the people who are buying, right? If they start posting about your product on Instagram, there is literally no scale that you cannot achieve. अगर पांच imagine the network effect it will have if a person on Instagram with even 500-600,000 followers is sharing that I bought this mug, you know, or I, you know, उसने वो place करा अपने कहीं पर photo लिया and they tag you. So having social presence, B doing activities like these, कि आप जब आप उसको product ship कर रहे हैं, have something inserted in which talks directly to the person and saying that if you want to join our community, this is what we are on Instagram, this is what we are, and say hi to us on WhatsApp. Now WhatsApp can be completely automated. We have that solution that if someone is sending hi, automatically reply that hey, your first order, you know, this is 200 rupee off or 100, whatever you can afford, right? As a brand you can afford. But उससे होता क्या है, वो incentivize करके you get a lot of first party data. Now you can drive that small community of people to come back and shop with you, right? और कुछ नहीं होगा ना, आप उनसे बोल सकते हैं कि please share your review of the product on your Instagram and we'll add it on our आजकल ये लोगों को बहुत पसंद है कि वो अगर आपके बारे में लिख रहे हैं तो आप अगर उनकी as a brand आप उनकी story अपनी story में share कर दो, right? People love this, right? And also have somewhere a referral or a this thing कि अगर आप और लोगों को लेके आओगे, then you can also make money and he can also make money. So you can use these strategies, referral marketing and asking them to post something on social media and giving them something like a WhatsApp automation or a text automation के text hi to this number and receive your next coupon.
Umair, just hold on. I think, guys, he's really giving you the tricks of the trade. So you should listen to this properly. This is not, you are not going to get this from anyone, at least at the free. So please listen to this properly and implement. Yep. Thanks, Umair. Thanks a lot. Amin, you want to add anything?
Actually, you know, one thing I wanted to add there is the fact that there is this book called Alchemy by Rory Sutherland. And it speaks this point in a very different way, saying that, you know, why is it that a brand being present on social is so important, or why this word of mouth is so important, is because human beings by default are afraid of making mistakes. What it makes us realize very subconsciously is the fact that if my friend has bought it, the product is good, which is a referral is amazing. Second thing is when you tag it on social and when you share it, and when people also, when the brand also shares it, it shows you one thing, that the brand is not going to run away with your money. Not immediately, not tomorrow, and it's going to be here to stay. It's going to be here to stay. I think that trust is extremely crucial. So all the strategies that you're adopting, and I think one of the questions which Shalini is also asked is that, you know, 1 lakh for a new brand per month is very steep. It is steep. Now, suppose if it is steep for you, invest in the low-hanging fruits, which is have a great social presence, promote your content sporadically, you know, make sure that you're tracking it at the end if you have a website, and now websites can be built. You know, there are a lot of custom online websites which can be built for as low as $10 a month, you know, with SEO capabilities and a lot of other capabilities. So look at those hacks until you reach a point where you can have an established ecosystem that we are talking about. But until then, you know, referral, making sure that, you know, sharing it on social, a lot of conversations one-on-one with the customers. Now imagine a customer has bought your brand and you are the entrepreneur having a chat with the customer. I think those are great moments of truth for the customer. In fact, one of the brands that I had worked with was called Alana Naturally Beautiful, which is the same ecosystem in which we are talking about. And the entrepreneur's name was Rashi. Now that entrepreneur, she used to do trade shows in various cities, whether Surat, Rajkot, you know, like Rajasthan and all of these places. She used to resolve consumer queries more personally. So suppose at a given point in time, she has 5,000 of customer queries. She would at least try to resolve 2,000 2000 to 2500 personally. Now that is a great investment by the entrepreneur, because as the customer on the other end, see, product marketing, all of these things are in a way perception creation. You are creating a perceived value for something that you are transacting against. Like a Nike shoes, if I remove the logo, you won't pay 1,000 rupees for it. But as soon as I add the logo, you're going to pay 10,000 for it, because that's the perceived value of it. So that needs to be created through personalization. And as brands are evolving, one study which is, I don't want to sound cliche, but one study which is through and through there is brands which are authentic, brands which are environmentally conscious, and brands which are having a personal conversation with their consumers are the brands that are going to stay. That is one of the reasons why a Fair and Lovely and established guys decided to drop Fair. It is not because it was a shift that was within. It was a shift that was strategically done, because the conversations are now changing and people are looking for authentic solutions. So I think that is what should be the focus.
Right. I think we are out of time, and I'd like to thank all of you for your fantastic takeaways. We have gained a lot. At least personally, I have learned a lot. Hopefully, I will try to implement it in my particular brand, and all of you who have attended have gained from it. Thank you, Rohin. Thank you. Thank you, Umair. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jitendra. Really appreciate everyone coming here today. We'll definitely try and reach out to you guys separately as well.
Yes.
And we, in fact, had some, customized offers which we'll be giving you, just so that we can help you with this journey all along. And we'll be definitely, any questions that you have all our email IDs. Any questions that you have, I'm already always available to help e-commerce grow in this country as well and globally as well. So feel free to reach out to me, Amin, or Rohin, and hopefully we'll be able to help.
Absolutely.
Sure. I think someone said that, can you share your email ID, and I'll just write
post this, we are in which way is going to share the email IDs as well as the recording with the members, so they will have that.
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Jitendra, for coordinating this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Take care
Thank
and have a good weekend.
All right, guys.
Everyone, see you.
Bye. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a nice weekend.
Bye. Take care.